Okay, so you guys sent us some super interesting stuff about this whole idea of inner enemies
Yeah.
and how they can really mess with us. Like when we're trying to figure out,
Right.
what's actually true.
Totally.
It's kind of a mind-blowing concept when you
Mm.
really think about it.
It is.
So today we're going to be diving into some excerpts
Okay.
from this book called Conquering the Inner Enemy.
All right.
It's all about Al-Ghazali's idea of jihad for truth.
Interesting.
And I gotta say, this is so relevant right now.
Oh, absolutely.
With everyone, constantly trying to grab our attention
Yeah, yeah.
and tell us what to believe.
For sure. It's
And
like we're bombarded with information and opinions all the time.
right, and it's hard to sift through it all.
It really is.
What I find fascinating about Al-Ghazali's work is that he kind of flips the script on how we usually think about enemies.
Uh-huh.
We tend to focus on those outside forces.
Right. The external bad guys.
Exactly like other people or, those groups we disagree with.
Yeah, totally.
But Al-Ghazali's saying, hold on a second.
Mm.
The most dangerous enemies are actually the ones we carry around inside ourselves.
That's a powerful idea.
It is, isn't it?
Really makes you think.
Like we're our own worst enemies sometimes.
Absolutely. And he doesn't mince words about it?
No, he doesn't. There's this one quote from the book that really hit me hard.
Oh, yeah. Which one?
It says, "The true enemy of an individual seeking truth is not external forces or people, but rather their own self-deception."
Whoa. That's intense.
Right.
Like a punch to the gut.
It is. And to really get this whole concept, I think we need to understand a bit more about Al-Ghazali himself.
Okay. Yeah, he's a fascinating figure.
So he was this really prominent Islamic philosopher and theologian,
Uh-huh.
lived back in the 11th century.
Wow. A long time ago.
I know, right? And his idea of jihad is way more complex than what most people think of.
Yeah, most people associate jihad with like a physical battle or war.
Exactly. But for Al-Ghazali, it's more about this inner struggle against all those negative qualities and desires we have.
Yeah, like our own personal demons.
Yeah, exactly. So it's about conquering those inner enemies.
I see. So it's less about fighting external enemies and more about battling the ones within.
Exactly.
That's a pretty radical idea for the time.
Oh, for sure.
And even for today.
So let's get specific.
Okay, yeah, let's name the enemies.
Right, Al-Ghazali actually lists 13 of them.
13. That's a lot.
I know, right? And some of them are like things we all struggle with.
Well, like what are some of...
Okay, so he starts with egoism,
Mm-hmm.
arrogance,
Okay.
conceit.
Those are some tough ones right there.
I know, right? And it just goes on from there. Selfishness, greed,
Oh, boy.
lust, intolerance, anger,
Yeah, I've definitely battled with those a few times myself.
lying, cheating, gossiping, slandering.
Wow, that's quite a list.
It is.
Sounds like some days I'm fighting a whole army in my head
Right.
just to get out of bed.
Seriously.
But how do these traits actually keep us from seeing the truth?
Well, each one kind of acts like a distorted lens
Okay.
that clouds our judgment and
Mhm.
pulls us away from what's real.
So they're like obstacles in our path.
Yeah, exactly. Like, let's take greed, for example.
Okay, greed, that's a big one.
It can make us believe things just because they benefit us personally.
Right, even if those things aren't actually true.
Exactly. Like, we might ignore evidence or twist facts to fit our own selfish desires.
Yeah, I could see how that would happen.
And it's not just greed, it's all those other enemies, too.
Right, they all work together to distract us
Exactly.
and keep us from seeing clearly.
So think about a time when you felt like you were misled or manipulated,
That's a good exercise.
maybe by like a news story you read,
Yeah.
or a social media post, or even something a friend told you.
Wait,
Could any of these inner enemies have been at play there?
interesting question.
Like, did your desire to be right, or your anger, or even just your ego prevent you from seeing the situation objectively?
It's definitely something to think about.
Right, because that's exactly why Al-Ghazali stresses how important it is to conquer these inner adversaries.
It's about clearing the path to truth
Right.
by removing those internal obstacles.
And when we do that, we become more discerning and less susceptible to manipulation.
like we're building up a resistance.
Yeah, like mental immunity to falsehoods.
I like that analogy a lot.
And the book really emphasizes that this isn't about achieving some kind of final victory
Right.
over our inner enemies.
It's an ongoing process.
Totally a continuous journey of self-improvement.
There's always work to be done.
Always. There's even this quote that says, "Be always a work in progress."
I love that quote.
It's a good reminder.
Yeah, it is.
So this makes me wonder what Al-Ghazali would say about the challenges we face today.
Oh, that's an interesting thought.
Like, if he was adding a 14th enemy to his list in the 21st century,
Yeah.
what would it be? Would it be our addiction to social media?
Maybe.
Or the constant pressure to present this perfect image of ourselves online?
That's a good one.
Or maybe just the overwhelming amount of information we're bombarded with every day.
Yeah, information overload could definitely be an enemy of truth.
Right, because it's hard to know what to believe.
It is. It really is.
And all these things can really distort our perceptions and make it hard to see clearly.
They can, and I think that's a really important point.
So to wrap things up,
Okay.
it seems like by fighting this ongoing battle against our inner enemies,
Yeah.
we can become more discerning, more resilient,
Sure.
and less vulnerable to all that manipulation that's out there.
Right. It's about striving to be our best, most truthful selves.
Exactly. And that's a journey that never really ends.
I agree.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It was great.
What are some of your takeaways?
Yeah, what resonated with you guys?
We'd love to hear your thoughts.
Absolutely, let us know.
We'll catch you next time.
See ya!
Bye.